Hey guys, I know you cannot see me, but I assure you I'm here. And today we're going to talk about why this ghillie suit might be interpreted as post-apocalyptic technically, but why it also doesn't help us much. And using it as an example, we will deepen our understanding of what post-apocalyptic costuming or other artworks are all about, what is and isn't post-apocalyptic, and I will introduce a new term, which is genre exclusivity, and I will explain that in detail, but we have to build up to that. And that thing is gonna help you create better artworks in the post-apocalyptic genre, especially relating to costumes, of course. So, as I've said, I've posted this in my community group just for shits and giggles, asking what do you guys think? Is this post-apocalyptic or is it just modern tactical? And the vast majority of you said modern tactical. A couple of people said could be one or another. And some said that, well, if I did some changes, such as changing the materials or colors or whatever, it might be, or it might be base, or it might need more dirt, and so on and so forth. And like, technically all of you are right, and also not, and I'll explain. So, the first point I would like to address about this whole idea of post-apocalyptic costumes or post-apocalyptic style is that it all depends on context, right? Imagine a computer game where you have a lineup of characters and like all of them except like one guy are wearing like tire armor and something that is weathered and distressed and from improvised materials. Maybe someone has like a futuristic tactical armor but with an improvised shoulder pad, and then there is this one ghillied up guy. And the whole thing takes place in a wooded region, because in the post-apocalypse you can of course have woods and stuff where this would blend in just fine. Would you then go like, hey, this whole game is not post-apocalyptic? Well, of course not, because you have a bunch of other guys that have all the typical telling post-apocalyptic things about him. And maybe even the sniper has some sort of an improvised, Gauss rifle made from junk parts or whatever that again makes the whole character design post-apocalyptic. So in the context, like, would this ghillie be the most telling post-apocalyptic thing about all of those characters? No, of course not. But would the whole game and all the characters in general, if we lump them together, be post-apocalyptic in general? I argue, of course. And as Geralt said in the comments under my post, snipers gotta snipe even in the post-apocalypse. And it's technically true. And of course, in the context of like a selection of characters or a larger setting, if you see a sniper doing the role, or someone made a suit to become a sniper, although they weren't before, to blend in, or maybe they're not even shooting, maybe they're just trying to avoid the raiders or whatever. Like, yeah, in context it can work. However, if I just go ahead and post, like, here is my costume, do you think this is post-apocalyptic? Then the answer is clearly no, because it could work in a post-apocalypse. Sniper's gotta snipe, and it would work technically, it would blend in, it would do its job, but so would blue jeans do their job of covering your body. Are your blue jeans without modification post-apocalyptic now? Also not. So it's all about context, it's all about having those specific telling, very obvious signs. I'm gonna put the helmet away here. Having those very obvious signs that speak for a post-apocalyptic design or post-apocalyptic style in general. And this is where a lot of people's costumes fall short, and this was never meant to be post-apocalyptic, by the way, but a lot of people will do some sort of a costume that might or might not be even aesthetically and technically well executed, but just thematically it's still not post-apocalyptic because those telling signs are missing. And this is where we're getting into genre exclusivity. So what does genre exclusivity mean? And I just made up this term because it sounds cool. It means that some elements of your costume or artwork otherwise, your design, are exclusive to a certain genre. You can see those as super archetypes, or if you do them badly, then even cliches. You can see those as signs that will just tell the viewer immediately, hey, this only happens in that specific genre. For example, like tire shoulder pads, or like everything being distressed and whatever, or like a combination of those things. It's never just one thing, it's usually a combination of a bunch of things. So genre exclusivity is something that does not mean that you can no longer mix genres. If we take Bright, for example, the modern day setting but with magic and elves and all of that, we have two settings mashed together, and we have genre exclusive stuff like modern world, like normal cars and houses and clothing and people named Karen, and on the other hand we have magic and elves with pointy ears and all of that stuff that is exclusive to the fantasy genre. Of course you can mash those together. Of course you can also mash post-apocalyptic together with stuff. Of course, if we take Overwatch as an example, it is not a post-apocalyptic game as such, but there is a post-apocalyptic character in it, Roadhog, and like everything about him is, or most things about him are like post-apocalyptic. So you can of course mix and match and so on and so forth, but to evoke this feeling that something is in fact post-apoc, you need to have some genre exclusive things on it. Does everything about it needs to be genre exclusive? Well, no. Do some things need to be genre exclusive? Yes. For example, if I take this ghillie suit and combine it with this chest piece, which I'm not very fond anymore of, by the way. I will make another video about this. I'm not happy how I made this whole frying pan thing and whatnot. But if we imagine that on the chest here I visibly carry this, but then also this ghillie suit above it. Way more post-apocalyptic immediately, right? Because there are some elements in it that definitely make it more post-apocalyptic immediately. And you can tell right away. You do not have to justify it, like, oh, you would still like be able to use, like, could this ghillie suit be used in a post-apocalyptic setting in woodland and whatnot? Like, yes, of course. Does that mean it's a great post-apocalyptic costume all on its own? No. So if we combine these two, then yeah, it becomes better. Another thing that could be done, there was a really cool example of someone with a post-apocalyptic designed ghillie suit. It was made from other materials, where you could tell that those materials were some scavenged materials and some like industrial like belts that were torn up or whatever. I don't know what it was exactly, but it was like stuff when by looking at it I could immediately tell, like, yeah, this is made from stuff that is typical for, you know, this repurposing idea of the post-apocalypse. It's made from like everyday like kind of junk and stuff, or like some industrial things like belts and whatnot, or tires. I don't know what it was. It was something, right? But it just looked like it's from improvised materials, and you could say like, yeah, this is also from improvised materials, sure is, but it's made exactly in the way that you would do a normal ghillie suit. If the real apocalypse, and I hate talking about this, but because it's like always a shit excuse or discussion or direction, but if the real apocalypse happened and I needed to make a ghillie suit, would I go out of my way to make it out of industrial belts and tires and like non-military stuff and stuff that was never designed to be for ghillie suits? Like, or would I just do it exactly the same way I did now? I of course would do the easy way. The way I did now, from stuff that is already has flak tarn, stuff that already, you know, like this mesh stuff was already designed for this kind of thing. But it doesn't make a great costume. You have to always see it in the context of costume creation. So none of the things that I'm wearing here scream genre exclusivity. I need to combine it with something, or I need to the single elements of it, or many of the elements, to be genre exclusive. So repurposing is genre exclusive. Another thing that's not really genre exclusive is, like someone said, you have really straight edges here on the sleeves and also on the skirt. And yes, that's true, and thanks for pointing that out, because that is also not great for breaking up my silhouette. for the intended purpose of this, which is airsoft. So I will actually fix that, but also, while not genre exclusive per se, frayed edges and weathering and distressing and kind of like a bit of chaotic look is one of the telling signs of the post-apocalyptic design. So definitely going with that will help you create such a look. Like, I do see a lot of commonalities between this and post-apocalyptic, because there is a lot of chaos going on, if you will. There is a lot of like kind of improvisation, but not in the sense that the materials are improvised, but the work process. I also just like kind of slapped this together in a chaotic fashion and stuff, but and to me it's very interesting, because usually I try to really introduce just a bit of chaos and balance it with a lot of strong forms. Here I'm trying to break up forms. I'm trying to go for no order. I'm trying to go just for, you know, breaking up the silhouette and the colors and everything entirely. It's just the opposite of what I usually do. But anyway, so so far we have materials and items and things that are genre exclusive. Non-exclusive but very telling things, such as frayed edges and stuff like that. What else do we have? Well, I think like materials, items, just in general the design being having elements that tell you this is post-apocalyptic immediately, because subtlety and additional elements and bonus elements and all of that, it doesn't work on its own. You need some elements that are absolutely on the nose, right in your face, scream that particular genre's name. And while some items, such as this tactical belt with mech pouches and blah and painting and whatnot, and ghillie elements and even an entire ghillie but and whatnot, could appear in a post-apocalyptic work of fiction, it is always important to include some archetypical genre-exclusive elements in order for your work to be understood as, in fact, post-apocalyptic or whatever genre it is you are going for. And post-apocalyptic is very prone to people trying to find excuses why this might be still post-apocalyptic, although it's really not, at least without context. I have another great example where it does work in context, and spoilers ahead, the 100, the series. If you haven't watched it yet, I don't know why, so I'm gonna be spoiling it right now. So there are the grounders, which are basically like, if you think post-apocalyptic and see those, like, yeah, 100% match. Like, this is like one of the typical looks for post-apocalyptic costumes. But then you also have Mount Weather, and those guys have literally been living in a bunker for quite a while. And their stuff looks just like 100% unmodified modern tactical gear. Is it a legit way to tell a story? Absolutely, yes. But if you just take those modern tactical dudes out of context, does it look like a post-apocalyptic costume on its own? No. So again, keep in mind that when you are making your costume, your context is usually void. Like, all the context that you need to provide, or all the context that exists or will ever exist, you need to provide yourself. So you can't go like I'm one of the 10 dudes and stuff in the squad of post-apocalyptic people and I happen to be the sniper and this is why blah 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 blah. No, you have to provide all the context yourself. So make sure that your costume has enough elements that are 100% telling the right kind of genre, that are genre exclusive. I think this pretty much wraps this up nicely. If you have any questions, well, post them into my community group on Facebook. Where, by the way, this whole, well, discussion was sparked. Spoiler, I just posted it for some engagement and stuff, and it turned out to be nice. It turned out to be an idea for a video for me, so thanks to everyone who commented. Yeah, support me on Patreon if you aren't doing yet. Link is also in the video description. Have fun crafting whatever it is you're crafting for your costuming awesomeness. I will see you in the next episode. Until then, hail the snail.